One method I use to install the spark plugs, I just use a boot, an old boot, and then this little piece of plastic. You can also use a pencil, and then just stick that in there like such. Put it on the spark plug like that, and then it makes it easier to start the spark plug in there. Once it's threaded all the way in there, pull this guy out, do the next one. Alright guys, so we're getting ready to reinstall the intake manifold upper plenum air thing. Yeah.
Okay. Jim.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of the things you have to keep in mind is that when you put this gasket down, this little tab goes towards the front of the vehicle. The little tab on this gasket. So just keep in mind of that, because you can't put it the wrong way if you're not careful. Alright guys, as I was saying, so this gasket goes with this little tab towards the front of the vehicle. Place it down loosely. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So that worked. Short extension worked. You don't want to go above this area here. You want to stay in between. That way you can get better better position. And probably, if you do that, you probably won't need the swivel at that point. But just had it on there, so just did it. And every time you're done using your torque wrench, always go back to a minimum setting, maybe like 5, and then lock it in there. And that way your torque wrench calibration will last a very long time. If you leave it on high tension, over time the internal springs will lose calibration. So always when you're done using it, leave it at a low setting, and your torque wrench will last for a very long time. Alright, so now let's get everything back together. First thing, and see, as you can see, all the screws I left on here, so that when you put everything back together, you know what screw goes where. Even though a lot of these are the same, but you're not looking for them or anything like that. They're all here, ready to go. So I'm going to start setting up this side, starting with these 2 connectors here. I do have a ground. I did grow up in Inglewood, real close to the new SoFi Stadium. So part of me is rooting for the Rams, but ultimately I could not care less. So I put this thing back in there, and here's my screws. Actually, these nails are just screwing with me. Super careful, I don't want to lose another one of these bolts to the dungeon. So we got the upper manifold installed. It's really not that complicated, guys. Just make sure everything, be patient with your connectors and your hoses so you won't damage anything. Make sure everything goes back where it belongs. Learn how to remove stuff so you won't pry on something unnecessarily and then break it. Like I broke this thing here last time I did the spark plugs. So now I have to either buy a new one of these or use some kind of zip tie to hold it on there. I always like things to go back per the manufacturer's design. It just makes everything better. Now here I use this little zip tie here because the original hose holder, it doesn't grab on, because you can see one of the sides is kind of broken here. So I had to use one of these zip ties, and I'll show you which ones they are. Right here. It's these guys here. So they have, you put them in and then you wrap whatever you're wrapping around and it kind of holds onto it. It's very useful. They're on Amazon. You can get a bunch of them for cheap. So sometimes you just have to improvise a little bit. Now this thing and this thing, I'm not 100% sure where they go, but I'm pretty sure something will come up as I continue to assemble everything. So now that we got the valve covers and everything, spark plugs and everything out of the way, now we have to jump into the timing belt, and that is next. All right.